Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to have a dynamic conversation with some people who are on the front line of healing and some dedicated, true Baltimore hometown heroes. Today, our panel is More Than a Shop, a Conversation. And I'm going to let our guests introduce themselves, starting with Donna.
Good afternoon, good day, everyone. My name is Donna Bruce. I'm a senior stylist and a social justice advocate for all justices. I've been in the industry over 20 years. Thank you for having me on this panel. I feel honored to be here with Larry and Troy, some of the pioneers in the barbering industry. So thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Larry, would you like to introduce yourself next?
Yes, yes. My name is Larry James Wilson Jr. I am a master barber, been in the industry for 31 years. Also, I am elder, minister, uh, love to be introduced as Larry. And thanks for inviting me to the panel. And
Cool.
I am,
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I am VP of Highlandtown Business Association.
Okay, very, very dope. Troy, would you like to, last but not least, send us round us out? Introduce yourself.
All right, good afternoon. Troy Staton, barber, founder of More Than a Shop, a lifelong barber from the city of Baltimore, master barber, community advocate, and all in out advocate for barbers and beauticians throughout the city of Baltimore and throughout with More Than a Shop.
Cool, awesome. So I guess my first question for you guys is, why do you love this city?
I love Baltimore City. Baltimore City is a well put together city. It's a city of building um, communities. I like the way the structure is in Baltimore City with from City Hall all the way down to our neighborhoods, our communities. It gives us a chance to meet each other, build, and it's a friendly city
Mm,
and a safe city.
mm. Thank you.
And that's why I like our city.
Thank you.
I love our city because of the crabs, the diversity. I was born in Flag House Projects, and I remember the city fair would come to town, and we would make our way over, to the city fair, and the inner harbor was right there. So everything in the city is all inclusive. And then I remember they built the harbor and the aquarium. So I got a chance to actually watch the city rebuild itself. They have new communities down there where I lived in Flag House Projects, and the people, the diversity, Little Italy, um, the Afram. Oh wow, there's so many things about this city that I love. And again, I'm proud to be a Baltimorean.
Uh, why I love my city, Baltimore. What is it not to love about Baltimore? I love the diversity. I love the diversity. I love the out and out, support, um, the camaraderie. Uh, it's a melting pot. It's a city that you know if you belong. Like the club Odell's, you know if you belong. You know what I mean? If you can make it in Baltimore, you can make it anywhere.
Yes,
Baltimore is no longer just the city that the gas up spot between New York on your way down south from going from New York to New York, Jersey, Philadelphia, then you stop in Baltimore to gas up as you go to DC and the Carolinas. No, that's no longer Baltimore. Baltimore is a thriving city. It's a heartbeat. It has a lot to offer. There's a lot of interesting people. There's a lot of culture. There's a lot of diversity. In today's Baltimore, is no longer the Baltimore that I grew up as a small child. And I'm happy to raise my children and my grandchildren in the city of Baltimore of today. And with this, I'm dedicated to Baltimore because I am Baltimore. I'm a part of Baltimore. I love Baltimore. Baltimore has been good to me and my family.
Powerful answers. Thank you guys for sharing. What made y'all want to become, like, why did you choose your profession? Why did you want to become a hairstylist, a barber, right? Like, why did you want to be involved in community in that way?
Um, can I start with that one?
Sure.
What made me become? I didn't. It wasn't something that I wanted to become. It was something that just happened to me, happened with me, and I believe it was my calling.
Mm.
It started out as my mother cutting my hair, and I took the clippers. I went in the bathroom. I straightened that out some. Then I did my friends' hair and my brothers. Before I knew it, I was in the neighborhood and the community cutting all my other friends, and that led from local barber to barber school to working in other barber shops. And from there, um, like I say, the community, the people, and all of that helped embrace and support me through my endeavors. And it wasn't something that I chose, it was just something that happened. And I graciously embraced it.
For me, I think barbering was a savior for my life. I believe going into the barbershops as a teenager, I seen that the open doors was a community shop, and I seen where, you had everyone in there from the pastor to the numberman to a resource for helping just hearing our adults talk and share their pain in the barbershop. As a young man to a teenager, it opened my eyes up, and I always wanted to help in the community. Me becoming a barber, I believe I was pretty much, it was handed down to me from my mom. She was a senior cosmetologist at Baker's Hair Salon on Greenmount Avenue. Grew up on Zone 18 and seeing my mom do hair. So I wanted to touch on getting into the business. I sweep the hair from my mom and watched my sister get started, and I just took it from there, and I never looked back. Started in 91, went to school in 96, and it took me away from things that I was into, uncomfortable teenager life coming up. So it just helped me get balance, and I met a lot of good people. So the more that I knew better, the more I did better, and that was through coming in and out the barbershop and the beauty salon. So you heard conversations to say, hey, you can do better.
It's powerful. Thank you so much for sharing.
I'm in love with hair. My grandmother did hair. My grandmother originally was from Newark, New Jersey, and when she would travel to Baltimore, all the family members would meet down at my mom's house because they knew she was coming. So it was something that bonded the family together. It bonded people together. It was always a celebratory thing uh, because they were getting their hair done. They were talking about their problems. So at the age of 13, I didn't have many friends. In my younger years, I didn't have many friends. I was always judged from my outside appearance. And when I started doing hair, my friends came out of nowhere. So I did my first Jerry curl in the kitchen, and everybody found out that I knew how to do a Jerry curl. And, everybody wanted to be my friend, and I acquired friends. And as I got older, it was an outlet to help me deal with a lot of trauma that I experienced coming up, watching my mother be abused by her boyfriend and things like that. So it became an outlet for me. So I was able to do hair and release, and then it became an art, the creativity of it. And then I got involved with the fashion shows and the commercials and, you know, um, Baltimore Fashion Week. And then I realized the different diversity of it. And I became a cosmetology teacher. And I trained a lot of women, young ladies in Baltimore City. So the passion changed, because it's nothing like seeing someone you invested and they respect your craft, the time that you put in this industry, and they honor that, and they just, every word that come out your mouth concerning disinfectant, EPA, occipital bones of the head, they just suck it up, because we did all that information. Is more than just hair. It's learning about the body. Everything we eat and drink come out through your hair, skin, and nails. So it's more than just hair. We know how to bring hair back to life. We know scalp diseases. I mean, so it's more than hair. We're next to doctors. I like to say we're next to doctors, because we have to learn the circulatory system, the respiratory system, people that have different diseases and diabetics, blood spills, things like that. So yeah, I get pumped when we talk about hair. I love hair.
Powerful. Y'all really all touched on like a common word, a common theme. I kept hearing. I kept hearing the calling. Right. That's powerful. People don't talk about what they do anymore in that sense, like a calling. But y'all kept talking about community, like that, like you found community or you created a community there. What do y'all do through your shops that creates a sense of community for like Black people in Baltimore? You know, like how do you create community in your shop? How do you make other people feel safe and welcomed and healed?
People are drawn to us. If I can speak, and I feel safe saying this, people are drawn to us because how we treat people.
Mm,
Um, so when they come and they sit in a chair, they feel safe.
yeah.
They feel like they can disclose things to us. They trust their blind parents to us, or family members with disabilities. I've experienced that. Like they only want to bring them to me because they know that I'm going to take good care of them, which creates all kinds of community. And for all of us, they come to us because of the aura that we kick out
Yeah.
as barbers and stylists.
Yes.
Yeah. Um, Barbershops are historically and still is to this present day the sanctuaries for the communities, big and small. Um, and in that, what I've been able to harness that energy is solidifying that. You create a safe zone, you respect that, you respect the community respects us. We are trusted individuals. And I was once taught as a young barber, we are not the hoarders or we are not the shoplifters, where we take everything from the community that gives so freely to us. We have obligation and a commitment to our community to give back to them. You know, um, Community is the individuals. Miss Shirley that might live down the street, um, Sharon, who has a son, Mr. Joe, who I went to school with his kids and I grew up. But when they come to that barber shop, there's no big eyes and no little U's. Everyone comes through the same way. You know what I mean? Level of respect, a level of dedication, information, resources, and that whole camaraderie, that whole fellowship, that whole we. You know, I was taught early on, the two things you never talk about in a barbershop is religion and politics. Well, that's true, but because everyone has their own political views and their own religious status, but that do occur. But in that, you have to be able to maintain a sense of structure and balance with that. Whereas, you can't I can't force my opinion on someone else's religious belief or my own political views. I had to be respectful of that, mindful, and we had to live within our boundaries, you know. So the barbershop has been a great tool for me as a human being to become the person that I am. Because like Donna spoke of, and as well as Larry, I grew up, I was a latchkey kid, and my father wasn't there. But growing up in the barbershop, I've been cutting hair since I was 13 years old. So with that, I was able to be exposed to men, Black men, men of all ethnicalities, all colors, all status. And with that, I was able to take a piece from this gentleman that I saw that I liked, this piece from this one that I admired, build relationships and rapport. The barbershop was where I learned about fashion. The barbershop was where I learned to speak as a human being. You speak to another person, and then speaking to that person, you make direct contact with them. You establish yourself in the relationship, um, as well as how to be compassionate. Come in contact with compassion, not to be empathetic, not to be sympathetic. Respect, to per se fear. I learned all of these things from my interactions within my community and through barbershops and through individuals where I can honestly say from my upbringing, I probably wouldn't have encountered those life lessons if it wasn't for those days, those hours, those minutes, and those moments with all that interaction that occurred in the barbershops, as well as in beauty salons as well, because I worked in beauty salons early on in my career, as well as I'm working in beauty salons today.
I think community for me, the barbershop and community is having an opportunity to come into an unknown atmosphere where I opened up in Northeast Market, and to be able to have an open door at that time for the community to come into. I remember it was a resource, but also I went to Worldwide Barber College and learned counseling, and I learned how to open the deaf ear up to listen to the hurts and the pains of the individuals, as in grandmothers, mothers, and the grandmothers raising the mother's children, and the children coming in with their problems and situations. And I learned then my calling was to have a place where everyone could come and be peaceful. So my rules and regulations had changed at that time in 98 to say, hey, I have to have a different barbershop. Gave my life to God and realized that, I am from a Christian background, but I was taught to open the floor up and open the door up and have that patience and listen to all people that came in. And it just was good, because helping people was just another one of my callings. And my calling was to train the barbers that I interviewed to come in to work in the barbershop and say, hey, if you want to work here, we help the community. These floors are spiritual floors. You don't have to believe in the same God I believe in, if that's where you at. But there are spiritual floors that come in where we can help each other. So we grab one, teach one. And the more that we learn, I learned a lot buying my first shop. And I had a Muslim guy in there, Brother Herb 14 Next. I learned a lot from him, me being from a Christian background, but he taught me a message to a Black man is to open your ear up to help your brother. And then reaching back at the way my father taught me, he said, it don't matter if a man is down or up. If a man is down, you should have the courage to reach down and help him, but also ask him why is he down? So a lot of times when I see the drug addicts or the winos sitting on the corner bent over or just coming in, I would ask them, how did you get this stage of life? What really happened? What took you to this moment? And that's when it got deep. So that's when I learned to listen, but then I had to go and get more information. And God put people around me that can help me, because I realized then it was time to help the community. And that's by giving some concrete information out. I had to go and learn and see what could I get to help the community, and not just one person, but how can I become that team? Because it was more than me that was in the neighborhood. It was a lot of shops. So I had to go around to each shop and meet people in the community and just realize that a community work on love. Love, trust, faith, and learning how to keep people business to yourself. So, you don't get it in your chair and then put it back out there. So, that was all a learning thing for me, to learn how to say, okay, I'm going to help this brother, this sister, or this child. And today, I just love it. When they come in, I'm able to listen. I'm able to find concrete avenues for them to go out. Now we are looking for avenues to say, okay, what is the support system for this community, and which way can I go? So I reach out to all the local churches, the people, and you don't have to have a title to be a great individual or person in the communities. It's just about reaching out and shaking hands and letting people know it's love. So that's where I stand. Just the door is open, come in, let's get a haircut, let's listen, let's get some counseling in. If you like to pray, we can pray about it. And then years coming down, you learn to go into appointments. And a lot of people like their private time, because they even to let loose a little bit and let you know, really, hey, this is really what's going on in my life. I can't really talk around people, but hey, man, I have some issues. But also, I had to realize too, well, as they telling me their issues, I have issues too. So we always have to have that outlet to say, okay, wow, this is a little deep, but if we can continue to talk and pray, we both can get through. So yeah, so you get people to come in the chair can help you just as well as you help them in the community. So it goes both ways. So I guess I'm done.
Thanks, Larry, for sharing that. That sparked something in me when you were talking, because I went back and I became a certified peer recovery specialist supervisor, and which is behavior health through the Maryland Addiction Behavioral Health Board. And in that certification, I became a resource broker, and I learned of different outlets and different resources that I can refer that young girl that's getting beat up by her boyfriend to, or that person that has the anxiety issue, and we as Black people, it's taboo to go see a therapist. And when I say, hey, I have a therapist, oh, you have a therapist? So being a role model in the community, saying, hey, I've been through that, and this is how I got through that, and this is where the direction I can point you in. As a stylist, it took me in, because we do want to help. That's our natural gift. That's our natural calling, is to make people feel better, look good. When you look good, you feel good. And now we're finding out older, because we're older in the game, it's more spiritual matters at hand that needs to be addressed. And we address the spiritual matters as well. The mental health issue, the drug issue, the incest issue, the stuff that people don't talk about issues. We listen to that and we hear that. Then we have to have an outlet to get it off of us after we get finished getting all the stuff on us. We get a lot, so that's definitely sparked that, yeah.
Because that's it's glad that you said that, Donna, because as being a barber, a lot of people don't really understand the severity that we have to encounter, because like say if you're doing 15, 20 people a day, right? And everyone comes in your chair, you might have an individual who comes in your chair and get a service, and they dump all of their whatever that might be at that time, whether it's, congratulatory, trauma, or whatever, and then not even whatever their particular issue might be at that moment for that individual, and they confide in you, and they dump that. And then after that, you have someone else get in their chair. So you and taking all of that within you on a daily basis, and that's 15, 20 issues that occurred in your one day. That's has nothing to do with your personal issues, your family. It's how we digest that. And then people can find in us and they looking for answers and resources, and we have to really address that, because there are a lot of times that's what it is. A person come and say, man, I'm having car problems. A mechanic, yeah.
Yes.
You refer to your buddy that's a mechanic, that's a resource. Somebody say, I'm looking for a place to stay. Someone else might have an issue with substance abuse. Someone else has an issue with that. We are resource providers.
That's right.
And in that, we have to be very conscious of the words and the resources that we distribute, and we help out. But we also have to be open and receptive to those to come to us, because how can I help someone else if I'm not being helped?
Right. Trust.
And we have to have our own decompression time, our own time for self, and all of that is very, very important. That becomes a balancing act, that we must deal with on a regular basis. One of the issues that's haven't been spoken out in public, but that's very, very, very prevalent in the barbers and beauticians community, is that we have a very high rate of substance abuse, alcohol abuse, mental abuse, and neglect due to the overwhelming issues of the information and things that we can exposed to, and not being able to direct that and address that ourselves. So before the pandemic, me and Donna, we have went, and Donna was like, we was working on a project with senior abuse. And as we talking to this young lady about elder abuse, she pointed something else very simple. She was like, because y'all deal with the elders in the community, they might come and say, well, I want to give you something for a haircut or a tip, but I don't have it because my grandbaby that came in and took my money, or I'm not getting my food. And because that occurs so regularly, we're not identifying, but those are the subtle implements that we have to address, because people confide in us and they give us a lot. We have to be open and receptive to that. Those are just some of the responsibilities and obligations that come with being a stylist, whether you're male or female, whether you're a barber, beautician, or nail tech. Those are just some of the issues that we deal with in as many vicious areas of trauma. And a lot of people isn't even aware of the trauma. Trauma does not have to necessarily be traumatic.
So let me ask y'all a question. Y'all really highlighted like the need to like heal the healer, right? The three of you, what have you do for yourselves and for each other to like support and like heal the healer? You know what I mean? Like, how do you make sure you prioritize your own self-care, your own sanity, you know what I'm saying? So you can be strong to build up and pour into others again the next day.
I dance in the dance ministry. Sorry, Larry. On the dance ministry at my church. I'm active in my church. I'm involved with the minister in training curriculum. I'm into my second year of that. I take time, I stop, I do absolutely nothing and lay on the sofa if I have to. And I say no to people. These are things that I learned.
Yes.
This came with
Yes.
practice.
Yes.
No, it's very
Money,
important.
yeah, and money isn't everything, with doing hair. So no, I can't. This time is specifically for me. Reading my Bible and watching my granddaughter play is such a joy. Like they went sledding on my hill. At my house, I have a steep hill. watching them go on the sled down the hill was so much fun for me. So finding joy in the little things. I don't have to go take how we used to do, go take big trips and big vacations, and none of that don't even matter anymore. You know, it's nice because I've done it. It's the small things that matter to me. Just cleaning my house and listening to some music.
Yes, I think for me, I start out church is one of the biggest things. Going to the Church of Redeemer of the Lord, being a minister and watching my pastor and getting the information from him, going to the gym, working out the stress of my own life, my own problems. Also meditating and going back a couple of days to say, hey, I could have did this better. I need to try to do this better. The first thing is I'm building home with my spouse, my kids, my grandkids is number one. And number two is, getting back in the community. And like Donna said, so you have to say no. A lot of times you gotta put your arms up and say, hey, I would like to, but at this time, I'm not there right now. So you have to have some space for yourself. But reading, getting with people that know. So I like to meet people that's doing some great things in the community. I like to read books. I like if I'm being introduced to someone that's really doing something great, I like to be a part of what they're doing so I can learn. Because the more I learn, the better I can be within myself. Because if I can get my inner right and get myself together, then I can do better for everyone else.
With me, I love art. I love art. So I love art and art. I love music and it's to be able to express myself. I've never been a very big person that was a whole lot of talking or speaking. If you know me, I'm more of an action person. So just to be able to like talk through things, have an outlet, you know, talk with a therapist, and my energy is very important. But I believe, that we are only as healthy as the people that we surround ourselves. So with that being said, I'm very cautious of the people that I spend a lot of time with, and don't care what's going on. And every day there's some decompression time for me. You know, when I leave the shop, I go to one of my favorite sanctuaries that I go to. And if you know me, when I first get there, the first half an hour, 45 minutes, I'm just to myself. I'm in a quiet space. I'm decompressing because I understand that words have power, and I also realize that if I give you something that's not yours and it come out in the wrong way, the wrong form, I can't go back and try to straighten that out. So I have to decompress, let that go, um, talk about it, and be very conscious and vigilant of myself and my acts towards others. I'm no longer a child, so I can't do childish things. Just because I had a bad day and something happened, I cannot misdirect that and give that to you, then come back to you a half an hour, 20 minutes later, say, I apologize. We need to make that straight. The damage is done. The damage is done. But I had to come through that through getting some help myself, and taking responsibilities. And I had to learn the word that Donna and Larry spoke of very early, to say no.
Yeah.
To say no. No isn't a bad word.
Yeah.
No isn't a bad word, because people come to us and they never expect us to say no. And then we'll say, yeah, and we'll do something. Then there's repercussions that might occur with us. So I say no now. I had no problem saying no, but I had to learn how to say no as well.
Yeah.
Can't say no and be harsh. The person asks me for something and it's like, no, well, I learned, say, well, could you do, well, um, I would like to, but it's not possible now, you know, because with a lot of other people, that's all they ever hear is no. So these are the words that I learned through therapy, coping skills, communication skills, you know, and taking responsibility for myself and my community.
You think, so let me ask you a question. You think about all the things you guys do to kind of preserve yourself, to provide that self-care. Do you think other people are watching? Do you think you're being that shining example for other people to mimic and be like, all right, Donna and Larry and Troy, they set up boundaries. You know what I mean? They carve out time for family. Maybe I should start doing that. You think other people are watching and mimicking and like kind of spreading that like awareness of how to take care of self?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah,
Yes.
big on
Yes.
that.
People are always watching. When you don't think they're watching, they're
Watch it.
watching.
Watch.
And unfortunately, sometimes they're watching for you to slip and fall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have to be aware of that. So us
Like
being examples.
transparent and real, people are waiting. Because I mean, jealousy and envy run deep. If you have to do this takes work, and people don't want to do the work.
Yeah.
And that's where you learn how, as Troy say, who to bring in your circle. I'm gonna help you, but I'm not investing a lot of time in you because then it takes away from me. So it's learning in the manner to help.
Yeah.
Because if I pour 100% into everyone that I came in contact with, this is a self-help thing. So you're watching me do this. And as I said, there's a lot of young ladies who training a young lady now. She wants a senior cosmetology license. And she said, this is her words. God laid you on my heart. I can't even remember where I met you or what school it was. And now she's training to get her senior cosmetology license. And that's like, whew, what am I doing? All I'm doing is one day at a time, doing the right thing for the right reason, investing in myself and my family, putting my priorities in order, helping someone, feeding myself spiritually, and not doing any hurt or harm intentionally to anyone. Simple stuff.
Yeah.
You know, addressing my trauma, healing from my trauma, writing about my trauma, speaking about my trauma. And that, you know, I had a speaking engagement and I just spoke. And it's like I opened myself all the way back up again. And I find myself in my studio doing hair, you know, because I got to get that off of me. You know, I'm still healing from that stuff. Healing doesn't happen overnight. It's a process.
Yeah.
It don't just go away, you know. So I accept it. It's a deeper level of acceptance of that trauma that happened, and try to understand why it happened. Doesn't help all the time because I don't get the answers that I'm looking for. So I say it makes me the woman who I am today. You know.
Yeah. It's good that you spoke on that, and Nigel, because like are we being watched? Yes, we being watched. You know, like I said, I've been cutting my hair my whole life. And you know, I never looked at myself as like I was, you know, being watched or I'm doing anything. My thing is I'm just doing my part, you know, and in my barbershop, you know, I'm working and doing collaborations with healthcare providers and other community resource partners and neighborhood associations, and just doing my part to be a better person in my community for the communities happen. And 2 years ago, with an incident that occurred at the barbershop I was working at, I became a victim of a senseless crime, a senseless shooting. And in that, what happened was, you know, I'm in there, someone come in, senseless shooting. I get hit a couple of times, and thank God through the grace and mercy, I walked away.
Yeah.
But what happened was, lo and me behold, you never know the way that other individuals see you or how you being received if you just doing the right thing for the right reason and going about it. And the city came around and the city rallied behind me. And that took me for a spin because I never looked at what I was doing was for any notoriety or anything else. You know, I was just doing my part, like I say. And everyone came around and they rallied behind me and my family. And they gave me a greater sense of purpose. You know, say, damn, you are doing something. You know, whether you look at it or whether you realize it, but people are paying attention and people watching. And people were saying, you remember you did this or you was doing that. And I was like, no, because I don't look at things like that. I'm just doing it for the time and for what needs to be done because that's the right thing to do. I just want to be treated like I want to treat everybody else the way I want to be treated like a human being, you know, and the way our city rallied behind me really gave me a greater sense of community, a greater sense of purpose. And that brought forth the More Than a Shop initiative to bring resources into our city through barbershops and beauty salons in untraditional settings, you know, and that spearheaded a whole lot because it was like everything that I'm doing with my shop now, why can't we all do it? You
Yeah.
know, if it can work for me, I know it can work for you. And this is how it can be done. And last year, this time, with that, you know, y'all were some of the people that greeted me when I came back, you know, and we had our, you know, first Healing City. And to reach out to, you know, Brother Larry and Donna and,
Yes.
you know, all the other barbers and beauticians throughout the city, you know, and everybody showed up. And it wasn't for no monetary gain, but it was a healing city process, and it was a healing for me
Yes.
as well. You know, because historically, through barbers and beauticians, the resources and the opportunities that is so prevalent now, they weren't there. The prior barbers and beauticians wasn't accessible to the information and the resources that we are so freely given.
Mm.
So with
Yep.
me being in that position that I am, the least I can do is say, Brother Larry, let's work on this. Donna, let's work on this. You know, Will, you know, Ivan, Hector, other barbers and other beauticians from other ethnicalities and other communities other than just my direct 4 block radius.
Yeah.
You
Mm.
know, how we can collaborate, how we can all get help, you know what I mean? To reach out to the health department, Baltimore City Health Department, to do um, literacy, literacy programs with Enoch Pratt, you know, collaborate with Kaiser Permanente. You know, like I said before, the pandemic, me and Donna was in the early stage of negotiation with elder abuse. What was that, George community, Donna?
Yeah, the
And
Jewish
like with,
community.
yeah, you know what I mean? We talking about black and brown barbers to reach out with them to say how can we help them? And they was like, sure, let's work with
Mhm.
this, you know, these
She embraced that.
untraditional settings. And me and Larry was in the early stages of working together with something with the ministry through barbershops and then the
Yes.
pandemic, but still, we still can do it. And now,
Mm.
as of today, with that, you know, the work is still being done. The work is still being done, you know, with the pandemic that's taking place. Um, I see within the near future, once we get through this first stage with this, things such as vaccinations will be taking place in our spaces, just as well as there's healthcare screenings, just as
Yes.
well as there's job placement, just as well as working with Baltimore City Youth work with job placement for the youth summer work to let them work in barbershops and beauty salons to be exposed to the entrepreneurial process. You know, job placement to work with the job opportunity task force with prison reform and job reentry. These are the things that's taking place in our untraditional settings in our workplaces and dealing with trauma response through barbershops and beauty salons. You know, We are on the front line. We understand our purpose. We understand our
Yes,
place.
Yes.
You get what I'm
Come
saying?
on.
And we taking
Right.
on the responsibility. we taking on the responsibility, and we working as a one, not big I little you, but one collaborative.
That's right.
We can obtain
Teamwork.
more when we work
Right.
together. What I've
Yes.
understood from me being a 13-year-old barber working under all of these great barbers and beauticians is that with that, all of those, they all knew one another. They all worked, they all knew one another, they all partied together, but they
Mhm.
never really worked collaboratively. And
Mhm.
when that being said, there were no set forth legacies that was created. And that goes back to the historical part. And the historical part, barbers and blacksmiths, along with beauticians, were the first jobs and entrepreneurship trainings that we came out of those situations. And with that, if you was a slave or a sharecropper, you know, with that mentality and coming out that you was never taught to work collaboratively, you was always taught you work for me instead of
Mhm.
how to work for yourself and for all of us. Well, now that day has changed.
Yeah.
I'm a bit more aware, and I have no problem with working and reaching out with anyone because I understand it's not about me, it's about we, it's about us.
Yeah.
And in our city, we have a movement that's taking place with more than a shop. And it's an honor to work with Larry. It's an honor and a privilege to work with Donna. You know, a great leader in Baltimore City had succumbed to, you know, a senseless death a couple of weeks ago. He was an advocate for peace through Safe Street, Dante Blackman, Black Barksdale. With that, you know, whether Donna know it or not, I had been keeping a lot of contact with Donna during that week because that had triggered my PTS because I realized that guess what? 2 years ago, I was that same individual that was just out in the community doing some work. And I walked away. He didn't.
Mhm.
So that was very traumatic. And I stayed close within my network. So Donna, that's how come I was getting on your nerve last week and 2 weeks ago, along with some very other special friends. You know what I mean? We are only as healthy as the people that we surround ourselves with,
Yeah.
That's
you
right.
know? And I don't take that for granted. And that's how come I'm so vigilant and I'm so dedicated to our healing city.
Yes.
Healing city, yes it is.
That's
It's
right.
2 years
Healing
and we still
City.
moving strong.
Healing
And
City.
we understand the obligations that come with this. We're starting with trauma, post-trauma response. You know, I mean, addressing the issues with the young adults, the youth, the education, you know what I
The
mean?
next
The
leaders.
dietary, you know what I mean? You know, as well as what we eat, the information, our intake, you know. Let me just slow down. Let me slow down and get out the way because
He don't
this might
talk much, but when he do,
Yes,
everybody
let me
get
get out the
listen.
started. It's
way.
on now. That's
So,
right.
Let me get out the way because, like I said, it might be about another year before you get this much me to speak as much as I'm speaking
That's
now.
okay.
So let me give it to pass it to one of my other camaraderies with this. All right.
Right.
I'm digging it. I wasn't about to stop and jump in there. I was going to let you keep going. It was inspiring. You dig what I'm saying? So,
Right.
It's just the
Right.
truth. Hey, all I'm doing is just trying to do my part. I'm just doing my part. That's all.
Yes.
Doing a hell of
I'm
a
a
job.
barber. I'm a beautician. This is what comes
Right.
with it.
Right.
You know,
And
I
it's
accept this. Yeah.
yes. And it's about being leadership. It's about people are looking at us, even the young youth today. They're coming in there looking, and you have to reach down and you have to touch them and let them know, hey man, don't look at me like I'm a god or someone that you can't. You are better than me. You're going to be better than me. You know, the first thing you had to get your education. You got to get back in
Education is
school.
essential.
You know, you have to get your support system in order, regardless of what you're going through. You got to go and you got to go to school. You know, you have to get a job. You know, man, okay, you didn't gain and earn a couple paychecks. How about going to the bank, man, and establishing yourself, opening a bank account up? You know, learn to be a good person, a good person of society. You know, people want to see, okay, what are you doing today? Let's get this bank account open. Hey man, you know, it's not about buying tennis shoes and looking good for someone else. It's about putting back into yourself. What can, you know, let me show you how to start paying your mother or your grandmother or whoever that you're staying with. Start giving them a couple dollars because you're staying in someone else's house. If you're staying in someone else's house, if you have to pay rent, learn. I teach people to pay your bills on time. If you got a gas and electric bill, man, you get paid, just pay it. If you got your rent coming up, pay it. You know, if you got to put food in the house, pay it. Don't worry about what's in your pocket. I said, you know, a good broke is when all your bills are paid and you can come home, you can flick the lights on. You have something in the refrigerator. You can watch a TV show. It may not be all the cable channels. A good, you know, broke is I can get on a bus or I have transportation or I have gas in my car. You know, then learning to teach these young people today, communication, learning to trust one another. Everyone is not going to be the best. So, you know, putting your hand out and getting it slapped down is not saying I got to do this to someone else. You got to show people love. So when the enemy takes place in your life, you got to show the enemy love and walk right through it. So stumbling blocks have to come in your life. Like I talk to a lot, I have maybe 80% of the youth that come in. And my main thing is I'm a mentor. So I mentor these kids and let them know, hey man, you're going into a teenager year. It's time to stop. You know, it's time to do some good stuff. You know, you need to open that deaf ear up and listen. I have to show you what I'm talking about. You know, don't look at me and say, oh, you got it all. No, I work every day. You know, I have problems just like you have problems. But the bigger thing and the better picture in life, man, is getting out of your community and getting linked up with the right people and leaving and walking away from the wrong things. Because if I have two friends and they doing wrong and I start doing right, eventually they're going to start doing right. They might say, where you been at? I've been working, man. I got a job. You know, I'm in school now. You know, things are turning around in my life, man. And it's better. Even reaching out to the police department and the fire department and inviting the police department back in. I have police meetings. If we're going to have a district meeting, I'll invite them to the shop and say, hey, man, listen, this is what we do. Because if they come in the barbershop, at least they get really the chance to see exactly what really happens and what's said in the barbershop. I invite everyone to come to the shop. It can be a judge, it can be a lawyer. I like the door to be open to all. So when the lower class brothers and sisters that has that mind thinking come in, they say, hey, man, they just a person just like you. So how can we become better? By teamwork and helping one another. So I have a lot of people to come in and what we do, we network in the shop. You know, this is not my shop. This is a shop where God has blessed and opened doors. So, you know, at first the shop was Larry's Hair Unlimited. I had to push that away. It's Spiritual Hands Barbershop because it's a place where people can come. It's a place where people can come and get relaxed. I met Zeke Combs. He come in. He ran his campaign out here when he first one of the places on Eastern Avenue where he was able to hang a sign at. So being a part of the parades and the things that's going on in the neighborhood, just being outside. I think I kind of like taught my neighbors how to get out. I take a broom and a dustpan and sweep my block every day. Because why should we complain about our neighborhood is dirty or trashy when we can get out and pick it up? I put my barber jacket on. I let them know I'm just not a barber. I'm going to take care of my block. I'm going to take care of my the front of the door. I want to wash windows. You have to teach people I'm more than what you think I am.
Yes.
So yes. That's one of the main things. And then, you know, we can reach out and help. Like we have Highlandtown Business Association where we reach out and we have a fund where we can reach out and help the police department or feed the fire department, or I give back 100 book bags a year. I cut the kids' hair all day free for the first day back to school. We try to get lunches and stuff out. We go to the local schools and talk to the principals and the counselors and see exactly what can we do, because these kids are coming to school with a lot on their brain and a lot on their mind, and they can't concentrate. So the avenue is, hey, send them to the shop. If you can send them to the barbershop, I have Wi-Fi, free Wi-Fi. They can come in and click on it and do their homework. You know, we can come in, we can talk to them, we can pray with them. So changing my life actually helped me change my clientele. When I changed my clientele with people, things got really good in my life. But just not in my life, people that come through the door, they look to come to the barbershop.
Yes.
Monday through Sunday, they're ringing the phone saying, hey man, I need to come get a cut, because it's a place where they can come and really relax.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a sanctuary.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You know,
Yes.
I was watching on television last year, the show New Amsterdam, and how it's funny how life mimics art and art imitates life. I was watching an episode of New Amsterdam when the doctor was playing basketball, and it was a barbershop, and he was trying to figure a way to administer health screenings due to, the high blood pressure, hypertension in African American community. And as he's doing that, the gentleman playing basketball, falls out, and he goes and reach out. He goes back to the barbershop. And as I'm watching this on New Amsterdam, I'm like, I've been doing that for 5 years prior already at the barbershop that I'm participating in. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
Whereas in year one, we did 117 screenings before the pandemic. 4 years later, with a collaboration of four other barbershops and beauty salons, we had did over 5,000 screenings. And now we're expanding throughout the city with other barbershops and beauty salons, as well as partner with R&DH associates with mental health and sexual awareness and sexual trainings, information, Pratt. And with this collaboration, and with Donna, she's working with us with the beauticians, and now we're working in the early development stage far as some PRP in the future. And these other resources that's taking place through barbershops and beauty salons throughout Baltimore City. And it's not just in East Baltimore. It's not just in West Baltimore. It's not just in upscale Baltimore barbershops or the barbershops that people overlook. No, this is citywide. This is something that we are all collaborating in, and we are working together in a healing city to bring
And it's
forth, because the
expanding to the
barbershop,
counties.
yes, it
That's
is,
right.
We
because
becoming
we
a
are
healing
going to the
Maryland.
camp. Yes,
Yes.
we are,
Yes.
because we
Yes.
Healing
are
Maryland.
going. Yes, we are, but it had to start somewhere, and it started with us
Mm-hmm.
here, and you know, like in the Park Heights 215 and 216, they have a large issue with STDs and young young people, male and female. You
Wow.
get what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? So it's all about bringing the information and the safe sex information and distribution through there. Whereas though, you know, in the downtown area, we have a large homeless population with young individuals, along with substance abuse. So in another collaboration, we working around passing out, the Norcan and naloxone. And that's publicly, we give that out to barbershops and beauty salons everywhere, as well as, dealing with human trafficking.
Yep, that's
There's
the
something that is very personal and passionate with Donna, you know, as well as, reentry, job placement, before the pandemic, with Baltimore City Youth Works, we was working with placing young boys and young girls as the part of their summer job where they get their community hours and their work, but they being exposed to entrepreneurship through barbers and beauticians, as well as with these collaborations, for the barbers and beauticians who might not have no way to establish a credit, you also now you're able to bring in some other residual incomes. And with these residual incomes, with these collaborations, now you can start to, have some taxes, filing some taxes, So when this
Right.
stimulus come in, you have something that documents, okay, I have an income now, I can get a part of this stimulus where once we wasn't doing these. So it's all about the whole structure and well-being for our communities through our
Yes.
barbershops. Because the barbershops, what sits in the middle of every 4-block radius? There's a barbershop and a beauty
Okay.
salon. In a
and
beauty salon.
unfortunately a liquor store.
Yes. But 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 the thing with the liquor store, due to this gentrification, a lot of those liquor stores are no longer there. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But we're still there. You get what I'm
yeah,
saying? We still there. We still the heartbeat and the pulse of our
yeah.
community. You know, we are trusted individuals. And through our collaboration with more than a shop, now, you know, we're working on some future collaborations with some of the major institutions since
Even this scholarship we just collaborated
oh
with
yeah, talk about
Mercantile.
that, Donna. Talk about that, Donna. Talk about that. Go ahead.
Right. Come on.
Go ahead. Talk
Let's hear
about it.
that.
Come
Let's
on
hear it,
now.
Donna. That
Yeah,
That was a
scholarship.
yeah,
joint
we're doing
collaboration.
some
Go ahead,
work.
Donna.
We're doing some work.
Scholarship
So
now.
we collaborated with Mergenthaler Mervo to create Destiny's Dream Scholarship, the young lady that was murdered in her beauty salon. And we gave out $2,000 scholarships last year, and we're looking to give out 3 more, actually, if not this week, next week. But we're definitely going to keep everyone posted on that. These scholarships help with bags, it help with the tuition of the test, it comes with a mentorship, it comes with the scrubs that they need. Because when you're going through something at home and you barely got food to eat at home, but you want to do something with yourself, you go to a cosmetology school and you can't even afford the kit. It's heart-wrenching.
That's
You
tough.
want to do better, but you
That's
can't
tough.
afford to do better. So this is where we came in at, and we created the scholarship. Thank you, Zeke Cohen, our councilman, for coming into fruition, having the idea. He
Yay.
said,
Yes.
this is
Yes.
your baby. And we
Yes.
brought it into fruition. And these young girls that received the 2 scholarships were so happy. They were so happy. So those are more collaborations that we're doing with Baltimore City Public Schools, and we're looking to expand them even further. So this is just the beginning of healing Baltimore, healing city. This is just the beginning of helping and the things that we're doing. We're doing a lot,
Doing a
you
lot.
know, and
That,
we need more barbers, and we need more stylists. We need more people who are passionate, who want to help. If you want somewhere to come, hit the Healing City link and plug into Healing
Plug
City,
into us.
and
Come
we
on.
got you.
plug into
Join the
it.
team. Join this
Donna,
team.
Donna, but you know, you gotta speak on Donna how, like, you know, when the tragedy happened with Destiny, you know, you was like, oh, we gotta do something. And Donna didn't speak on this, but it was like, okay, we want to raise X amount of dollars. You know what I mean? And we did. And then
Yes.
we over exceeded that.
Yes.
Tell them
Yes.
how much,
Yes.
come on, Donna, tell them what the original number was and to where everything is at now. So now
We just
this
we
isn't
just
something that's just
wanted
gonna stop here.
like $5,000. We wasn't looking for, and don't quote me on it, but I believe it was a little more than $20,000 that we accumulated through the GoFundMe page.
Wow.
And people
Yeah.
want to help. The
Yes.
event was it was just a tragic situation. This young lady was thriving as a hairstylist. She had a young baby. She was doing her thing in Baltimore
Yes.
City, and her life was cut down in her
Short.
salon, in her
Yes.
baby.
Yes.
So we raised over $65,000. Yep, that's it, Troy.
Five.
$65,000 for
$5,000.
Destiny's Dream
Joint
Scholarship.
collaboration. This
Yep.
is the Baltimore that I love. This is the Baltimore that I'm talking about.
We give back.
I love my city. I am
We
Baltimore.
give back.
Why we
give
love our
back.
city? We
We
love
give
our
back.
city.
Because our city love us.
Yeah, so this is truly an honor to be a part of this. And thank you, Nigel. Thank you, Larry. Thank you,
Yes.
Troy. Thank you, Hill City, Baltimore.
Thank you guys. Listen, I want y'all to like shout out how can people get in touch with you, whatever, you know, method you feel comfortable with, right? Find out more about what you're doing, shout it out. But then also kind of as we wrap up, you know, 2nd year of Healing City, the Trauma Informed Care Act, all this, you know, y'all been doing the work, putting in the work for years. I guess not a final word, right? But what's the message or word y'all want to leave us with until the next time we see each other? You know?
You can find me at DB for Life on Instagram and Donna Bruce on Facebook. And my email address is donnabruce47@gmail.com. And one word I would like to leave is power.
Mm.
You are powerful.
Yes. I like to say Spiritual Hands Barbershop, 4007 Eastern Avenue. I'm up in Hollandtown, a great community. Come and reach out right across from Walgreens. Doors are open always. Come make your appointments, come in. Let's build relationship, and let's see what we can do better in your community if you're coming out your community. But if you're in Hollandtown, let's find out how we can make Hollandtown a better community by the cleanliness and the safety and just reaching out and showing one another that we care about each other.
You can find me on social media on Facebook under Troy Staton, IG Troy_MTAS. You can also find me in Southwest Baltimore at Vanity the Salon, 1052 West Baltimore Street, as well as for More Than a Shop with More Than a Shop. All right. And my email is Troy, TRY loves, LUVS art 8@gmail. And as well as under Catlers of Change. So you can find me, like for More Than a Shop. All right. And you will find out, and you will be hearing more from the collaborations from the More Than a Shop network that's taking place, that's starting here, there will be, and it's going, as well as under Baltimore City 2020 OSI Fellow, Troy Staton.
Right.
For More Than a Shop.
Awesome. Well, thank you all so much for your time, for your energy, for everything you have done, continue to do, and will do for the people in this city and for the city itself. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.
God bless.
God bless. Stay strong.
Have a good time today. Check out all the booths.
Check it all. Check it all out. More than this.
Check out all the booths.
Healing City.
Healing City.
Healing City.
2. This is 2. This is continuation.
Yes.
All right.